Nigeria's inflation now at 24.48% in June 2025, subsequent to rebasing of the Consumer Price Index (CPI). Plus, on the news, Nigerian Senate identifies and corrects errors in the 2025 appropriation bill, which was passed by both Senate and House of Representatives last Thursday. The International United Nations calls for calm as it reports deadly clashes in South Sudan, which have killed civilians and peacekeeper. Details of these and more coming your way. Do stay with us. Thanks for joining us at this time. Now details of the President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep grief over the passing of Chief Edwin Clark, former Federal Commissioner of Information and respected leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum (PANDEF), describing him as a courageous leader who stood for what he believed in. President Tinubu also said that the late sage was never afraid to stand alone in the face of injustice. Chief Clark, 27, was born May 25, 1927 in Kiagbodo, Burutu local government area of Delta State. He led an illustrious life marked by dedicated service at different times to the nation and his community as a state and federal cabinet member. He was also a passionate advocate for resource control, economic and environmental justice in the Niger Delta. President Tinubu, on behalf of the federal government, extended his condolences to the Edwin Clark family, the Ijaw Nation, the people of the Niger Delta, government of Delta State. Tinubu, in a statement by spokesman Bayo Onanuga, mourned Chief Clark and described his passing as a deeply sobering loss, reflecting on the life of the late statesman. The president said Chief Clark was a towering figure whose influence was Nigeria's political movement for nearly 6 decades. Nigeria's headline inflation is now at 24.48% in January 2025, subsequent to the rebasing of the Consumer Price Index (CPI). Secretary General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniran, made the disclosure during the unveiling of the rebased CPI report. The inflation rate for January marks a decline from the 34.80% recorded in December 2024. Adeniran disclosed that the food inflation rate was 26.08% year-on-year for January 2025, indicating a decrease from the 39.84% in the preceding month.
Result. The all-item index, which is used to measure headline inflation for January 2025, was 110.7. 10.7. That's the index. And this index resulting in a headline inflation of 24.48% on a year-on-year basis.
Adeniran emphasized that the rebased CPI accurately mirrors the current inflationary trends in the country, predominantly influenced by beverage, clothing and footwear items. He said that the country's last inflation rebasing took place in 2009 based on the pricing of prevalent goods during that period, and the absence of political influence in the rebasing process, and maintained that without the rebasing, January's inflation rate would have shown a decline. Adeniran said the rebasing influence involved consultations with key stakeholders, including the Central Bank of Nigeria, National Monetary Fund, World Bank, United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Budget, and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. The statistician general urged journalists and analysts to report the rebasing results accurately to avoid misinterpretation, emphasizing that changes were not a manipulation of inflation, but an effort to present a more realistic measure of price levels.
The procedure from start to has been very collaborative. We have involved so many experts, both from locally and internationally, to ensure that the right procedure and standards are followed and the best quality possible is achieved.
The Nigerian Senate has identified and corrected errors in the 2025 appropriation bill, which was passed by both the Senate and House of Representatives last Thursday. The discrepancies were discovered during the final cleaning and realignment process by the Joint Committee on Appropriations. Correspondent Kolojo reports that in a motion presented during Tuesday's plenary, Chairman of the Senate's Committee on Appropriations, Senator Adiola Solomon, outlined these actions. The primary adjustments involve changes to the current non-debt expenditure, which has been increased to 13.58 trillion naira, while capital expenditure has been reduced to 23.43 trillion.
Recall that the 2025 appropriation bill by the Nigerian Senate and the House of Representatives on Tuesday, the 13th February 2025. The Senate observed that at the point of cleaning and realigning, the Joint Committee on Appropriation discovered some inadvertent errors in the underlisted lines item passed by the Nigerian Senate and the House of Representatives as listed below.
Appropriation Committee for detecting these typographical errors and bringing them on time for us to receive and represent to Mr. President for assent, because we have taken a longer procedure for amendment if this had already been transmitted to Mr. President for assent. So I commend you for the transparency, but I thought that you apologized to the Senate for the errors.
The Joint Committee on Appropriations has already implemented these corrections, which has been approved following its recommitment to the Committee to supply. Despite the amendments, the overall budget remains unchanged at 54.9 trillion naira. This total includes 3.64 trillion naira designated for statutory transfer, 4.31 trillion naira allocated for debt servicing. The amended bill is now set to be transmitted to the President for assent. The House of Representatives has called on the federal government to instruct the pharmacy, PCN, and other relevant agencies to strengthen surveillance, inspections, and enforcement against counterfeit drug manufacturers and distributors across the country. They also condemned the production and distribution of fake drugs while commending enforcement agencies for covering an illegal operation in Osisioma, Ongwa local government area of Abia State. Correspondent in Abuja sent in this report and other activities of the lower chamber on Tuesday. Honorable Ezechi stressed that consuming fake drugs lead to health complications, drug resistance, treatment failures, and loss of lives, weakening Nigeria's healthcare system. He expressed deep concern over the situation, warning that counterfeit drugs have significantly contributed to Nigeria's high mortality rate, as unsuspecting citizens consume ineffective and harmful medications, worsening illness and causing preventable death.
Further note that the consumption of fake and substandard drugs can lead to severe health complications, drug resistance, treatment failures, and even loss of lives, thereby undermining the healthcare system in Nigeria. Concerned that the incident is not isolated, as similar cases of counterfeit drug manufacturing and distribution have been uncovered across the country, indicating a widespread public health crisis that requires immediate intervention.
Meanwhile, days after the passing of the 2025 appropriation bill, the House identified inadvertent errors in the items. Consequently, it moved to reinstate certain provisions within the recurrent non-debt expenditure. Chairman of the Business Committee, Francis Wave, stated that the motion was under Order 9, Rule 1, Subsection 6 of the House Order. Before the adjournment, the House also called on the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct by-elections for vacant seats in the National and State Assemblies after the motion raised by Honorable Jafari, who noted the existence of vacancies in federal and state legislatures. The House observed that since the 2023 general elections, vacancies have arisen due to resignations, death, and appointment of former legislators to executive positions. The delay in conducting those by-elections have resulted in disenfranchisement of affected citizens, violating their constitutional rights and depriving them of representation. The lower chamber will discuss more bills and motions when it resumes plenary on Wednesday.
And realignment of the Joint Committee on Appropriations. The Joint Committees discovered some inadvertent errors in the line items passed by the representatives and the Senate, recurrent in the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Police Affairs, Office of the Head of the Civilian Pension, Military Pensions and Gratuities, NHIS Military Retirees, DIA Civilian Pension and Gratuities, Department of State Securities, National Intelligence Agency, Pension Transition Arrangement Directorate, Police Pensions and Gratuities, Customs, Immigration and Prisons Pension Office, Universities Pension including arrears, Parastatals Pension and Railways Pension, NABCO, National Pension Commission, PENCOM, and other pensions.
Still with the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has urged law enforcement agencies to prioritize homicide investigation and ensure thorough prosecution of offenders. It also called on the National Judicial Council to designate special court division to expedite on homicide, femicide and related cases. This resolution followed a motion by Honorable Awaji Inambe Kabiente and 3 co-sponsors to urge religious organizations, the National Orientation Agency and advocacy groups to promote ethical values, respect for human life and awareness program on the dangers of ritual killing, murder and manslaughter. Honorable Abianti highlighted the rising cases of femicide, the intentional killing of women due to their gender as a growing concern. He warned that delays in the justice system allow perpetrators to gain media attention, citing examples like Chidimo Juku's prolonged trial for Taga's murder and the case of kidnappers Evans, who despite facing murder charge was awarded scholarship. Some lawmakers expressed concern over the dangerous of killing and dismemberment of humans, emphasizing that it is a collective responsibility to address the issue.
This is a trend. It's very dangerous. A long while ago, we may not have known exactly what we had or what we were doing at that time. It started small. And the response for its regulation didn't pay attention.
Things that nations of the world have done to curb cases like this to ensure rights from primary education level. There are security education. Persons grow up knowing when there are red flags in communication, red flags in relationship, red flags in invitation, so that they can identify these pitfalls and avoid falling them in the course of life.
Call for all hands to be on deck. Those that don't have daughters have sisters. Those that don't have sisters have mothers. I think this is a collective responsibility of all Nigerian men, of all Nigerian fathers and mothers, to take this as a matter of urgency to protect our women. It does not matter if that woman or that girl is your child.
But why our society is like this? Denominations and interdenominations and rivalry between religious leaders. Instead of our religious leaders dedicating themselves to the issues of the society, they are now dedicating themselves in talking about one another, criticizing one another, one sect or another. So I want to call on them again. What is happening in our society? They need to put heads together to ensure that they have plurality.
By Kulsum, who was murdered by a foreigner. And those murderers are there in our custodial center enjoying the government money, enjoying the food of the government. As mentioned by Right Honorable Abiante, one of them from South was given a scholarship to further his studies after marrying a lady. Mr. I think what we should put more concern about is the implementation.
Now to all the stories. The appeal sitting in Ibadan has upheld this election installation of Oba Gandhi Olaoye of Ogbomoso, overturning an earlier ruling that nullified his appointment. Delivering judgment on Tuesday, Justice Yagata Nipar will let the three-member panel ruled in favor of Olaoye on all 10 grounds of appeal. Justice Kea Adedogun of Oyo State at an October 25 nullified Oba Olaoye's election, describing the process as regular, null and void for failing to comply with the provisions of the 1958 Shohun Chieftaincy Declaration. However, the set aside the court's judgment, reaffirming Oba Olaoye's legitimacy as the Shohun of Ogbomoso. You're the TV coming up next. NLC protests are the main entries of Ibadan Electricity Company, demanding electricity company reinstate and pay minimum wage for over 3,000 employed staff that were sacked. Details of that and more coming after the break. Do stay with us. We are glad to have you back. Now, for more updates on this news, please visit our website www.galaxytv.com. Connect with thoughts on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV News. You can follow and interact with thoughts on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Galaxy TV. Remember to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Galaxy TV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments, as you can easily scan our IG QR code. Tension arises in Osun State as a power struggle over control of local government secretariats between All Progressive Congress APC, People's Democratic Party PDP turned deadly, sparking panic across the country. Galaxy TV's Matthew Abiken, who met with veteran journalist Bola Bolawole and barrister Deji Olaleye, who shared their insights on the crisis. We have details in the report.
The statement argued that the judgment did not restore the sacked men to office. Attempts by some APC members to carefully take over council secretariats led to violent clashes with PDP, who resisted. The move led to the crisis in several local governments. Bolawole and Olaleye agree to need for an overhauling of the system.
Why is it difficult for our politicians to settle matters amicably without resorting to violence? Can violence solve problems? Now, the people who went to take over the local government and have been repelled, they succeeded? The people who repelled them, have they also succeeded? Now, the local government, the secretariats are locked down. Nobody is in control. Neither PDP or no APC is in charge. And who is the people? Governance in those local governments will suffer. And this is a case of when two elephants are fighting. It's the grass that. So I do not think that it is elders in Yoruba land. They said Yoruba have a problem in one loja. make sure that the neck of the baby is not bent on the back of the mother. They will, hey, you are back your baby, mommy, wait, the way you are back your baby is not to sit in the neck. That's the job of elders. Where are the elders? Are they going to tell us that they did not see this crisis that was similar? We have a first class members in Osun. Can't they call the two of them, the governor, the minister from the state, and say no, this thing must not become war. Okay, we have gone out. And the two of them, that's the problem we have again that we have now. Two people will go to the two of them will claiming that the judgment is in their favor. You see, we should demonstrate, our politicians should begin to demonstrate that sense of national interest overriding personal, selfish, or political. In the same way, we should be able to say no. Just like former President Jonathan, Bola Jonathan said that my presidency is not what a single Nigeria. And these are just local government chairmen and councillors. They are not governors. They are not presidents. And 5-8 people dying. So what happens if it is governors? What are they fighting for? They are fighting for governor, local government chairmanship and councillorship. They are killing themselves.
Democracy should be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Will the rule of law ever become a reality? Only time will tell.
If they make that their mantra, that the interest of the people is paramount, most of the things that we find that they do, they will not do them. If somebody had been speaker for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, is that not enough? You go and see, let somebody else try. Is our hand on it? Is it your Oyedele? Is it your fathership? So you go and see it. If your colleagues say they don't want you, why must you force it?
Matthew E. Jackson, Galaxy TV News.
The Federal Ministry of Education (FME) asked the 7-member committee to address bullying incidents in all Nigerian schools, reinforcing commitment to student welfare and a safe environment. This was contained in a statement issued and signed by the Director of Press and Publicity, Folashade Boriwo. The statement quoted the Ministry of Education, Folatunji Alausi, emphasizing the urgent need for effective interventions, citing the psychological impact of bullying on students. The committee, according to him, will review reported cases and ensure swift action, constituting the 21-member working on a national policy on anti-bullying. To facilitate confidential reporting, the ministry has introduced Hotmail, WhatsApp line, and email. Dr. Alausi rated the ministry's zero-tolerance stance on bullying, urging school administrators, teachers, parents, and students to support this initiative. The minister said this measure aligned with the federal government's renewed agenda, prioritizing education as a driver of national development. And moving on to the story Tuesday, the Nigeria Labour Congress, Oyo State Council, protested at the main entrance of the Ibadan Electricity Company, demanding that the electric company reinstate and pay minimum wage for the 3 employed staff that were sacked. The state, led by its chairman, Comrade Kayode Martin, to IBDC's office to present the demand of the sacked staff of the company. He appealed to Oyo State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, and other stakeholders to intervene and rescue the sacked workers of the electricity company. that if they allow the 3,000 workers to be sacked, there would be security threat to the state. Comrade Martin appealed to the management of IBEDC to come out and resolve the issues amicably before the impasse escalates into full-blown crisis. The protesters blocked the road from Challenge to Dugbe and resisted motorists from the route. Some of the workers also shared their experiences.
So we came out peacefully last week to protest, and with the intervention of the NLC and the union, we are being told to go to our very working place that we are going to be called onto. So it was a big surprise after going back to work, where I could not cover for like a week. I covered it within that place just to not to show any. But it's a big surprise to us when we resumed back, when on Friday we started receiving letters of termination.
We are putting value into this company. We are putting value into this state. We are putting value into the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I believe we should be treated as much as everyone in other places is being treated. Do you understand? We deserve good treatment. We deserve good, how would I put it? We deserve all things that is good. Do you understand? So we want them to listen to what our plight and act accordingly.
These are Nigerian workers. We have widows. I interacted with 2 widows here today. It's not good. So we are appealing to the state government and all the stakeholders, please call BDC and BPI to order. Still paying people 41,000 naira today when the law says you must not, the minimum wage as indicated in the law means this is the least you must pay to your least worker. It's not that you must pay 70,000. The least employer in Nigeria today, the law says must not earn nothing less than 70,000 naira. And we have people working day and night here, placed on 41,000, 42,000 naira. And in the same place, we have people earning as high as 600,000 naira.
Protesting youth and elderly comprising market farmers of Delta community of Ejikota blocked the east-west road in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State over alleged land grabbing by community heads and the monarch. Protesters who were armed with leaves are seeing the machine chanting solidarity songs saying no to the selling of community lands. Correspondent Dele Fasson has more in this report.
The protesters who set bonfires at the palace of the traditional ruler as they chant solidarity songs advised the community king to cease selling their farmlands.
I want to assure you guys that this portion of land belongs to a community that is being encroached by our king and his co-chiefs. We want to advise him to stay back because Ejekuta is the only people that owns this place. Right from origin, our fathers have been in this place farming, planting rubber plantation, even palm trees. You can attest to it. So we want to appeal to government and to those who bought the land.
Not who have the land, they have the full right to sell it. I don't have land over the Ode. My father did not have land over there. They are my people, family people from Ejekuta. That is why they will be protesting that government should intervene.
Now, we are not happy. That is why we had a meeting. So, as it is, we gather the whole community to come so that we cannot stop whoever that bought the land, that whoever that they are sold to, if it is the king or anybody, they should stop working. That is why we are here this morning. As it is now, we don't want this land to be even sold. We want to leave it there so that our children will see here.
Put hand together, join together, make the person die. And this excavation, I can't go here, make the carry committee start leave. They don't carry come up for here, waiting the best fine.
The traditional ruler was yet to react to the allegations as at the time of this report, as his palace was under lock and key as a result of the placed at the entrance by the protesters. Ughelli State Dele Fasson reporting for Galactic TV News.
The leadership of National Association of Polytechnic Students (NAPS) has issued 10 days ultimatum to federal government on reversal of ICANN data tariff. It also addressed demands for IC mobilization for part-time polytechnic students. CTV News correspondent Balomon completes the story.
The leadership of the National Association of Polytechnic Students, NAPS, in its efforts towards championing the importance of technical education in the country, has called on the federal government and other relevant stakeholders to find a solution to non-inclusion of part-time polytechnic students into the National Youth Service for NYSC mobilization. NAPS leadership also condemned the recent hike in price of data by telecommunications services providers, thereby called for a reversal of data price. Addressing journalists at the Cooperative College, Ibadan, the capital city of Oyo State, NAPS president, Comrade Oyewumi Festus, noted that the leadership of NAPS will stand against any form of oppression bringing part-time technical students from NYSC mobilization and the hike in data rates by the telecommunications companies.
We don't know what the DG of NYSC is standing to gain by students of their rights. The requirement for mobilization of NYSC is HND full and not national diploma at all. We go on the same the part-time students go on the same curriculum with the full-time. They go on CWES, they go IT, and we don't know why they should be denied of their rights. Their rights. So after we made use of the JAMB, we've seen the JAMB and they've agreed with us. MDR also made it known that they are also on our own page, and they have also adopted different ways to also make this all out every time. Now, Minister of Education has communicated with the DG of NYSC. The DG of NYSC is a father, and we know that he will not want his students to be suffering. And now we've been on this since. A lot of destiny have been on hold since this while. We will not let this continue. That's why we are going on protest. All the non-sensitive bodies have spoken to the DG of NYSC. What is standing to gain, we don't know. And when someone is blocking our process like this, we are the body of polytechnic students. We will not let this happen.
Odeyemi Boluwatife Raquel, the Secretary General of Cooperative College, LLA, Olushola Fawaz of the same institution, and other representatives of student union government from other polytechnics in Oyo State, who spoke to newsmen after the press briefing. They cried the challenges in buying data at high costs to engage academic research works and other school assignments. They call on the federal government to immediately prevail on the telecoms companies to revert back to the old data rates, which they complained of struggling with as the harsh economy was taking serious toll on all spheres of lives on campus.
It has been very, very difficult that the students use data for their daily activities, in communication, on their WhatsApp platform, in doing their assignments, to use the mobile data because they need to make research, Google or ChatGPT to have more wisdom.
Many of the policy the government did for the student, and they don't even want a student to even go for a line for education at all. Please, the federal government should try something. Even though many of the students even sponsor themselves. After sponsoring myself for part-time, they will not be mobilized for NYSC. Why? I'm a student now. Then why I'm going for school is that I want to serve Nigeria, I want to serve my country.
From Ibadan, Gufalomo reporting for Galaxy TV News.
The Nigerian police force has disbursed over 2 billion naira in checks to 706 next of kin and beneficiaries of deceased police officers as part of the insurance benefit initiative is providing financial support and welfare assistance to families of foreign heroes. While presenting checks, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, reaffirmed the force's commitment to prioritizing the welfare of both serving and deceased officers. The payment made under the Group Life Insurance Scheme and General Police Family Welfare Scheme are designed to ease the financial burden on families who have lost their breadwinners. According to the IGP, the initiative is ongoing effort to clear outstanding entitlement for deceased officers covering the 2020 to 21, 2021 to 22, 2022 to 23, and 2023 to 24 periods.
Presentation is the 9th phase of check presentation to the family of fallen officers in the life of this administration, bringing the cumulative total to 20,841,713,990 naira. benefiting 7,171 families. This exercise is not merely a financial disbursement. It's an affirmation of our promise to stand by the families of those who serve with honor and valor.
With the aim of digitalizing insurance processes nationwide and also present group life assurance and IGP family welfare scheme checks for the insurance year of 2020-2021, 2021-2022, 2022-2023, and 2023-2024 to the total sum of 706.
To further streamline the process and eliminate bureaucratic delays, the forces also introduced a platform Nigeria Police Insurance to forward that enables beneficiaries to access insurance claims more efficiently.
As part of our continuous improvement efforts, we are introducing a major innovation today: the Nigerian Police Insurance Claims Management Portal. This state-of-the-art platform is designed to enhance efficiency, transparency, and accessibility in the administration of insurance claims. By leveraging technology, we are eliminating bottlenecks, ensuring that beneficiaries receive their entitlements in a seamless manner.
Now to others, the Catholic Diocese of in Anambra State has launched an investigation into an alleged altercation involving one of its priests, Reverend Father Jude Mokwe, and the 50-year-old widow Ikiora Morin. The incident, which took place on Wednesday, reportedly left two women traumatized and in severe pain, leading to reactions across the state. According to sources, the altercation began with Mokwe, the manager of Angel Primary School, a mission school in Ifitudu, Dunukofia local government area, the classroom where Ikiora and other school staff were holding a meeting. The meeting discussed a salary increment request to present to the school management. And some other staff members of the school were having a meeting in one of the classrooms in the school discussing their interest in salary increment, which they intended to relate to the school management. Thereafter, a source revealed, but the priest barged into the classroom with a cane and started beating her mercilessly, accusing her of being the convener of the meeting, and it resulted in a kind of brawl between both parties. And from the school that Ikiora slapped the priest first, prompting him to retaliate, which escalated into a physical confrontation. You're still on to the news on Galaxy TV. Let's go on a break. When we come back, the news continues. Do stay with us. We are glad to have you back. Residents of Ajabo Road Housing Estate, Kenta, Abeokuta have been thrown into mourning following the tragic death of a professor of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Professor Oladipo Ademuyiwa, who was killed by a hit-and-run driver on the newly rehabilitated Kenta Shomori Road on Sunday. Ademuyiwa, a professor of biochemical toxicology in his early 60s, had just highlighted from a cab and was attempting to cross the road on Professor Elisha Yinka end when he was hit by a speeding vehicle. The driver reportedly fled the scene, leaving him for dead. Chairman of the Ajabo Housing Estate Community Development Association, Ayo Ajasa, in a statement on Tuesday, described the incident as a preventable tragedy, blaming the Ogun State government for ignoring repeated calls to install speed breakers on the road. Ajasa lamented that the professor's death was a significant loss to the community and the nation, giving contributions to academia. To prevent further casualties, he urged the government to immediately install speed breakers and lorry barriers along the road, along with clear traffic signage to caution motorists against reckless driving. He also called for stricter law enforcement to curb excessive speeding within the estate. The Anambra Police Commissioner, CP Ikeugu Tugo, has blamed negligence on the part of parents for major causes of child abuse and cause of recent teenagers' death in the state. The new Anambra Police Commissioner made the disclosure while briefing journalists at the state commanded quarters in Amuda. To him, the recent death of 3 children in the flood was a result of negligence on the part of their parents who abandoned them at home and left for church.
We spend so much time going for night vigil, pursuing religious activities, and it is affecting the upbringing of our children. There is nothing wrong in prayers, seeking for prayers, but not at the expense of care and welfare and custody of our children. The case of those 3 kids who were found dead in the fridge is still very, very fresh and very challenging.
Flowed freely at the Taiko area of Igiri Road in Odoado, Ado-Ekiti, as lifeless bodies of us in a pool of their blood was discovered in the incidents. Although it could not be ascertained whether the incident was an attack, sources believe that the couple must have killed each other, going by the marks and cuts on bodies. According to sources, the husband, known as Caleb, was a security agent, while the wife was simply known as Tate. It was gathered that the wife earlier cut off the manhood of the husband. The man stabbed her on the head, neck, and private part. The source said people in the neighborhood were attracted to the gory scene in the morning by the cries of their children. The people said they were attracted to the scene by the cries of the children of the couple, but nobody could say what really and what was responsible. Police Public Relations Officer SP Sunday Abutu incident said the law enforcement agency had begun investigation into the matter. Former President of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, has advocated the setting up of a special intervention fund for sports development in Nigeria. The former president made a plea during the groundbreaking ceremony of 25,000-seater Bayelsa International Stadium at the Bugene community in the Goa local government area of the state. Dr. Jonathan, who also hails from Bayelsa, drew the attention of the National Sports Commission chairman, who was also present, for the need for proper management of the proposed fund to help athletes who have distinguished themselves. Also speaking, the chairman, National Sports Commission, ups on the federal government commitment as the host and Bayelsa State Governor Doyedire assures robust sports development in the state.
That look, as a country, we must have a fund to be properly managed by that any who has been able to make name in sports will never be a beggar until you die. So this is that the chairman of the National Sports Commission should think about such a thing. At the state level too could be done. And that is something that whenever I think about sports, I feel sad that I didn't do it. Really, really, we must make sure that anybody who made the country proud should be taken care of until that person dies.
The government, the president, and the sports stakeholders in Nigeria endorse this project. And truly, this project speaks and aligns to the vision.
As we break ground for this bespoke arena, we are igniting a new era for sports in Bayelsa State. What can be described as the next leg of the relay to make us one of the most desirable places to live, work, and recreate. Our assured prosperity mantra prioritizes urbanization.
Now we move to the international desk news.
This is news from the international scene. The United Nations has called for calm as it reports deadly clashes in South Sudan that killed civilians and wounded a peacekeeper. Fighting broke out between the South Sudan People's Defense Forces and armed youth in Nasser in Al State, which bordered Sudan. On February 14 and 15, the UN mission in South Sudan, UNMISF, said in a statement, the oil-rich but impoverished nation, which achieved independence only in 2011, is plagued by instability, with frequent clashes and political infighting. The UN did not identify the armed groups that clashed with the SPSF, a national military force led by President Salva Kiir, head of the country's unity government. The statement said some fighters used heavy weaponry, which has reportedly resulted in injuries to civilians as well as some personnel. It didn't give any details of the number of people hurt, but added that a UN peacekeeper on a scheduled tour was wounded in mortar shelling. Nicholas Asa, special representative of the UN Secretary General and heads of UNMISF, called for an immediate end to the violence. The UN state also warned of persistent tensions in western Equatorial State on the other side of the country between organized forces. It did not give further details. All 80 people on board the plane which crashed and overturned while landing in Toronto survived, officials said. Qatar Airlines flight from Minneapolis skidded the runway visible and it came to a halt upside down as firefighters came to the rescue. Survivors said they were suspended upside down in their seats and had to release themselves, dropping onto the ceiling before peering out of snow-covered tarmac. 18 people were injured, but only a small number are thought to be seriously hurt. And investigators are looking into what caused the crash. There were 76 passengers, 4 crew on board, and the 16-year-old CRJ-900 aircraft made by Canada Bombardier Company. In an evening briefing, Deborah Flint of the Greater Toronto Airport Authority called the response by the personnel textbook and credited them with helping to ensure no loss of life. The Federal Aviation Administration said the plane was operated by Delta subsidiary Endeavour Air. Delta said the incident happened at about 2:15 p.m. local time on Monday. Israel is pulling its forces out of southern Lebanon as a deadline for the withdrawal under a fragile ceasefire is passed. The Israeli military continued a pullback on Tuesday morning for the second day. However, while the majority of its forces submitted a revised deadline agreed under the ceasefire deal with Hezbollah, Israel said it will remain in 5 strategic locations, warning it is not ready to resume hostility. Zami, which under the deal should deploy across the south of the country as Israeli forces vacate, reported on Tuesday morning that it was present in about a dozen villages and border areas. Israeli spokesperson Nadav Shoshani confirmed the 5 hilltop locations will be maintained to provide vantage points and protection for communities in North Israel. He claimed the temporary measure was approved by the United States-led body monitoring the ceasefire. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun has raised concern that a complete withdrawal would not be achieved by the deadline, saying the Israeli enemy cannot be trusted. Still on the international scene, hours before Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the White House, President Donald Trump announced that the United States would level restrictions on its trading partners. It could hardly have come at a tougher time for India, which is already pressed by a slowing economy and sluggish demand. At a joint news conference, Trump said India would buy F-35 fighter jets and oil and gas from the U.S. The two countries would also begin negotiation on the U.S. trade with India. India runs a luxury service with the U.S., and such negotiations and military and oil purchases could adversely impact the economy at a time when it is going through low. With the Indian economy expected to grow at 6.4% in the year ending its slowest in 4 years, the Modi government announced income tax relief for the middle class in the annual budget earlier this month. Days later, the country's bank cut its benchmark interest rate for the first in nearly 5 years by 0.25% to 6.25%, with Governor Sanjay Mitra saying a less restrictive monetary policy was more appropriate in the light of the current growth inflation dynamics. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said the government is awaiting a second round from Google over Meiko's demand, with the tech giant fully restore the Gulf of Meiko name on Google Maps before it files a lawsuit. The Gulf currently appears in Google Maps. The Gulf of America was from within the United States, while it appears as the Gulf of Meiko. When assessed internationally, both names appear in the format Gulf of Meiko, Gulf of America. We will wait for Google's response, and if not, we will proceed to court, Shane Baum said at a news briefing in which she a letter from Google addressed to her government saying that its policy on the name will not change. Our circumstances will Meiko accept the renaming of a geographic within its own territory and jurisdiction, Meiko authorities also in a statement. Meiko argues that Google mapping policy violates sovereignty as the US only has jurisdiction over about 46% of the Gulf. Meiko controls some 49% of the Gulf, while the controls 5%. Lastly, on the international scene, supporters of Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte have urged the Supreme Court to dismiss her impeachment. The NATO politically motivated liberty filed on Tuesday. Lawyers supporting Duterte argue that the impeachment based on charges of corruption and betraying public trust was pushed without due process and should be nullified. They also called for the court to block an impending trial that could expel her from office. There was no proper deliberation. There was no proper discussion, said Isolito Toreno, one of the 29 petitioners outside New Delhi and the High Court of Manila. The Toreno claimed that the impeachment proceedings aimed at disqualifying Duterte from the 2020 presidential race. Duterte, one-time ally of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., was impeached by the House of Representatives on February 5 and it will be formally tried in the Senate this summer. Among the crimes she is accused of is an alleged assassination plot against Marcos. That charge stems from an expletive laden broadcast in which Duterte claimed to have instructed the man to kill Marcos, where she was killed first. Duterte claims she was simply venting frustration with the administration. And that's it from the international scene.
And that is all we have for you. We thank you so much for watching. My name